Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to Incoming the Engineers, a series where I take a look at the newly revealed information about the upcoming updates for the new patches 2.1 and 1.6 for Elite Dangerous. Last night, Thursday the 21st of April, Frontier had a new live stream, and after a few hitches on it not appearing on YouTube, it eventually appeared on Twitch. We got a bunch of additional information for some of the details that have already been confirmed. This came in the form of a Q&A with executive producer Michael Brooks and community manager Ed Lewis. So for those of you that didn't get a chance to take a look at the stream, or for those of you that would just simply like to have the information in condensed form, here it is. We finally got to see some of the new details in video format. And whilst this didn't show any of the major things like the engineers themselves or their bases, it did go into some of the nice little quality of life improvements as well as some of the new weapons that come in. So let's start with the changes to the Galactic Map. The Galaxy Map has undergone a number of improvements, most notable of which are bookmarks and the ability to filter system states. Now we've already mentioned some of this before, but like I say, we got to see this in action. And directly from the Galaxy Map, it's possible to bookmark a location. You can bookmark any system you want, and you can customize that bookmark with your own tag. And this is great for any of you that have found systems that have stations selling the modules you want, or have particularly good bounty hunting locations. It's also absolutely fantastic for those of us that like to explore in deep space. Many times I've found lots of interesting planets, interesting locations, black holes, and even planetary nebula. And really, to get back to these, to retain that information, I've always had to write those locations down on notepads in a physical book that I've got here. But now, with the ability to create bookmarks and a custom tag, it's going to make it all the easier to go and relocate those places again. Now, unfortunately, Frontier are not going to be including the ability to filter the Galaxy Map by systems that you've already visited and discovered. But Michael Brooks did say that's something on the list. And then we've got system states as well. So we can filter the Galaxy Map by the system state. We know that. We've seen that in some of the newsletters, and I mentioned it in a previous video. But what we didn't know is just how much of an effect that system states will be having in the future. Michael Brooks confirmed that system states, that's war, famine, civil war, and things like that, are going to have a much more profound effect on the game than they've had up until this point. So, for example, if the system's in a state of famine, then it will directly affect the prices of food. Whilst this may not seem to have an immediate effect for us on the game, it would imply that Frontier are working towards a larger economy state in the future. He also went on to say that the state the system is in will affect the prices of things within that system, and it will also have a knock-on effect of traffic within the system, how many ships are present within there, as well as the amount of security present. So whilst of course this isn't directly linked to the Galaxy Map itself, it does give us more reason to use the new state filter that's going to be present on the Galaxy Map. And further relation to locations, the Discovery Scanner is no longer going to be required in inhabited systems, or at least systems that have a Nav Beacon. You'll simply be able to fly up to a Nav Beacon, scan it with your ship's built-in scanner, and it will reveal to you all the discoverable information within that particular system. Now, of course, you won't be able to sell this information as discovery data, but it will have a number of uses, including revealing planets to you, but it will also reveal the locations of missions as well as mission targets for you. If you're on a mission and you scan a Nav Beacon, the Nav Beacon will direct you towards one of the local planets, and that will give you a general location for the mission objective. It will then be down to you to fly to that planetary body and search for the mission objective yourself. There was some new information on the upcoming graphical changes. Now, we know that Frontier are working on system lighting, and we also know that they're working on asteroid rings. And in addition to that, it's been confirmed on one of the Xbox live streams that Frontier have been working on the surface materials. But we did get a bit more information during this live stream, and that's that the changes to the asteroid rings are more extensive than Frontier have so far disclosed. So in addition to the changes to lighting, shadows and fog within the ring systems, there's going to be also some additional changes. In particular, Michael Brooks noted the draw distance improvements from when you're flying above the plane of the ring system itself. And down on planetary surfaces, the surface material has been improved and upgraded quite dramatically, and has also undergone some optimizations, allowing it to work better on lower end GPUs. So for once we get optimization as well as an improvement in quality. I did notice in the image of the crashed Diamondback that if you look at the rocks on the surface of the planets, they now seem to blend in much better with the planetary surface itself. Now, there was also some really good information on NPC traffic. At the moment, down on planets, they do seem a little bit lifeless. You rarely see any other ships. Occasionally, they arrive and leave some of the bases you see there. But this is set to change quite substantially. Frontier have already mentioned that there's going to be increased traffic around bases and planetary ports, but it's not just going to be limited to the bases themselves. Ships will now fly across the surface of planets. They will fly from base to base, and it will be possible to encounter ships as you're flying around the surface of planets. Although Michael Brooks didn't say, it may be possible that some of these ships could perhaps be hostile towards you. But either way, it should certainly be possible to pirate some of these ships or attack them. The changes to AI now allow these ships to dogfight over the surface of planets, and they're also very good at dogfighting within canyons. And if you do encounter a ship on the planet that has got some canyons nearby, it should be possible to either lead or force the NPC ship into the canyon for a fight. Now, NPCs will tend to try and avoid high-gravity planets, generally for the same reasons that some players like to avoid high-gravity planets. But that said, the smaller ships are going to be much more manoeuvrable down on planetary surfaces, and they could pose a risk to larger ships that can't quite move as well down on planetary surfaces due to the gravity. So my hope is that it would give smaller ships a much more significant role than they currently have. So these improved combat abilities from ships now allow them to better defend the bases that they'll be flying over. And this is going to go some way towards preventing the rocket spam that's currently going on. In addition to that, Michael Brooks stated that there's some other countermeasures going in that will also go some way towards preventing this rocket spam. But the changes in traffic are not only limited to planetary surfaces. There should now be significantly more traffic up in space and around stations as well. In fact, ships should now fly between space stations and ports, and it was mentioned that you should now be able to follow a ship from station to station. For any of you that have tried it before, you'll know that if you follow a ship that's leaving a station, once it jumps into supercruise, it simply disappears. That's apparently going to no longer be the case, and you will ultimately be able to follow it along and see where its destination is going to be. These changes to NPC traffic will also affect the security within systems. Security now have the ability to be much more rapid in response, as well as a lot more effective. And during the live stream, Michael Brooks and Ed Lewis also touched on points of interest down on the surface of planets. Now, we know that with the changes, there are going to be less human points of interest located outside of the inhabited bubble that's in deep space, but there does seem to be a very interesting exception to that. And for this, they did cite the image of the downed Diamondback as an example, which apparently could be a lost pilot or a lost ship somewhere out in the depths of space. From this, Michael Brooks did hint towards the missing. Now, the missing are the colonies that left human-inhabited space on ships that have much older travelling technology than we currently have. And these colonies are out there lost in the depths of space. They are called the missing, and some of them will be lost, some of them will be dead, and some of them have set up their own colonies out there. These missing should come into effect during Season 2, as eventually players will come across them, and just maybe the changes in patch 2.1 to these points of interest will be the introduction towards that. The biggest change then in patch 2.1, of course, is in the title itself, the Engineers, and we know that these will allow us to modify all our ship's modules, and that's not just weapons. All modules are going to be modifiable, both weapons and every other module as well. Now, so far, Frontier haven't released a whole lot of information about this. They have only revealed a few weapon effects. One weapon that can heal ship wing members, another that can overheat your enemy, and another that will knock an enemy off course. Michael Brooks also hinted at another one that is classed as a disabling shot. Whether that has the ability to disable modules, to disable your FSD, or disable your ship entirely, we're just going to have to wait and see. But with all these other effects coming in, it doesn't seem as though it's going to be very long until we get weapons that are able to stun and basically web your opponent's ship. Speculation on my part, of course, but that does seem to be the direction the game is heading in. Now, they also confirmed that there's going to be a whole ton of varieties on module effects, and that in fact this is the whole point of the Engineers, to enable much more variety in the game. So much so that Frontier will be able to continue adding modified effects during the lifetime of the game. Now, although Michael Brooks was unwilling to talk about this in too much detail just yet, it does seem that the change effects, the modification, can be applied to modules of all sizes. In addition to that, the changes on weapons particularly can be stacked, so if you have 2 healing weapons, they will be effectively twice as powerful. In addition to that, if you have 2 wing members with the healing weapons, all targeting the same wing member, then their effect would also stack. Ed did play back some new video footage that you can see here playing in the background of the various weapons in use, which was nice to see, and we also got to see the new large weapons in use as well, being deployed and then fired. Now, when the large multi-cannon was deployed, it was commented on just how much damage such a large weapon would be able to do, to which Ed suggested it wouldn't be that good against shields. But to this, Michael made a sneaky smile, saying, well, and let the statement hang. So maybe projectile weapons could be modified to have a more dramatic effect against shields, who knows. Finally, on all these modifications, I asked Michael Brooks whether or not these modifications would be applicable to NPCs, to which he said yes, the NPCs would indeed use the customizable weapons. Unfortunately, there's not going to be any new SRVs within patch 2.1, but Michael Brooks did say that it's something they're looking into further on in the season, hopefully, and that they don't really want to put any new vehicles into the game until they've got gameplay to actually support them. Now, this of course could mean absolutely anything, but it does make sense, doesn't it, that any new vehicle should have a particular function, and that function should actually be available in the game for the vehicle to perform. Frontier also went ahead and showed us a bunch of footage on the new outfitting menus. We've seen screenshots of these already, but it was really nice to see them in action. They look much more sleek, much more cleaner, and make information far more readable. There's some additional options on the UI screen now that we didn't have before. One of them is a read more or read all option, which gives us all the stat data on a particular module or weapon, something that was notably missing previously. Also, in addition to this, you'll be able to filter every individual module by its type, class and rating. Another thing that was nice to see in action was the comparison of modules and weapons that you've actually gotten installed to the ones that you potentially want to buy. And you can see all the footage of those playing in the background right now. If you're still interested in watching the stream, it's actually available on Frontier's YouTube channel, and I've linked that in the video description below. All the videos I've also played in this video are also available on Frontier's website, on Frontier's YouTube channel rather, and you can go and look at them. I've linked them below as well. By the time you watch this, Frontier will have probably released, or very shortly be releasing, the latest newsletter, in which there's going to be a whole bunch of more information on the upcoming patches. In particular, they will have been announcing something that they so far haven't even hinted at, so hopefully that's going to be something quite interesting to see and find out about. For now though, that brings us to the end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time. Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to Exploring Elite Dangerous episode 44. I'm here right on the opposite side of the galaxy with Commander Pompey, and this was Waypoint 19 on the Distant Worlds expeditions.